Hello and welcome to DETV News. I'm Kaylynn Pride, and we begin with news about Delaware State University, as they have been in the headlines this week after the girls lacrosse team was pulled over by Georgia State troopers to be searched, and some are calling it racial profiling. The incident happened on April 20th as the HBCU lacrosse team was traveling back to the university from a game in Florida. The bus that was carrying the team of majority black players were stopped by Georgia law enforcement for an initial traffic violation, but it soon turned into much more. Officers began to rummage through the players' suitcases beneath the bus and were searched by drug-sniffing dogs. In videos taken by players, law enforcement is seen attempting to intimidate the student athletes into confessing possession of drugs.
So if there is something in there that is questionable, please tell me now. Because if we find it, guess what? We're not going to be able to help. Okay?
Sophomore lacrosse player Sydney Anderson was on the bus and published an article about the incident on the school's online newspaper, which soon picked up media attention. In the article, she states, "The officers conducted an unlawful search because there was no probable cause. Majority of the team members had never experienced an encounter with the police, making this a traumatic incident for them." In a message from the university president, Dr. Tony Allen, he states in a bold lettering, "We do not intend to let this or any other incident like it pass by idly. We are prepared to go wherever the evidence leads us. We have video, we have allies. Perhaps more significantly, we have the courage of our convictions." Nothing illegal was found by Georgia law enforcement, and in a statement by Dr. Allen, he says that he has reached out to the governor, Delaware's congressional delegation, as well as the attorney general, and is exploring legal options. And law enforcement in our state will be receiving funding to help with better public safety. $4.2 million was announced at the Newcastle County Police Athletic League for initiatives to improve transparency in law enforcement, reduce violence, and improve mental health services. The funding is a part of the near $100 million for community projects, which was included in Biden's appropriations bill. Divided by 3 projects, $1.9 million will go towards the statewide group violence intervention program, $1.6 million will go towards the statewide body-worn camera program, and almost $750,000 will go toward the Behavioral Health Crisis Intervention Unit, an expansion to the Newcastle County Police Department. Delaware's congressional delegation also announced over $5 million to improve quality of life across our state. Funding will be administered to Jewish Family Services, the Salvation Army, and Westside Family Health Care. These funds will also be coming from the community project portion of the appropriations bill. A new school-based health center has officially opened in Wilmington. Kaumba Academy Charter School and the Community Education Building celebrated the opening of the school-based health center, which is operated by Christiana Care. The purpose of the center is to provide an initiative for learning environment for children in kindergarten through 8th grade. Christiana Care school-based health centers were established to create easy access to high-quality health care for students in the community. The one for Kaumba Academy at the Community Education Center will provide comprehensive medical and behavioral health care and health education to promote a healthy lifestyle. A 1950s Olympian and coach to generations of figure skaters was honored this past weekend at the Patriot Figure Skating Club and Patriot Ice Center in Newark. Ron Luddy Luddington was honored with a special ice show featuring medaled skaters of today, as well as local skaters of all ages. Journey to Champion, a tribute to Ron Luddington, was a high-energy show which also included the 2022 four-continent champions, Caroline Green and Michael Parsons, as well as many other national and international pros. We turn now to our political correspondent, Kaylynn Gaines, who gives us an update on what's happening in our country with the National Minute.
This week on the National Minute, the continued war in the Ukraine, a major drop in the U.S. markets, and Roe versus Wade. Hello, I'm Kaylynn Gaines, and welcome to the National Minute. According to the New York Times, stocks slid on Friday after a wild week that saw the market rally and then collapse as investors focused on the bad news in the latest updated U.S. jobs market report. The S&P 500 fell 1.6% in early trading. The index had dropped 3.6% on Thursday after rallying 3% on Wednesday and is now on track for the fifth consecutive weekly drop. The tech-heavy NASDAQ composite fell 1.9% on Friday. Wall Street's obsession this year has been on how quickly the Federal Reserve will withdraw its support from the economy by raising interest rates and shrinking its holdings of bonds. Both moves make risky investments less appealing and reverse years of low interest rates in support of policies that have helped fuel a massive rally in stocks. On Friday, the Labor Department reported that employers added 428,000 jobs in April, while average hourly earnings rose 5.5% from a year ago. While the report shows hiring remains resilient, economists have said that the strong job market and wage acceleration could incentivize the central bank to lift interest rates more aggressively. In April, the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, described the labor market as unsustainably hot, and investors feel that the Fed could push the economy into a recession if it takes things too far. In legal news, Roe v. Wade. The revelation that the Supreme Court could end the constitutional right to abortion in the United States has set off a political firestorm, deepened divisions about one of the most contentious issues in American society. Earlier last week, a leaked Supreme Court draft opinion was discovered. The contents of this opinion suggested that the Supreme Court was set to overturn Roe v. Wade. The United States has not seen this legal precedent in a half of a century. This action will leave the legal status of abortion entirely up to the states. If the draft from the February leaked document, Monday night by Politico, ends up being similar to the court's final opinion, which is expected to be delivered next month, reproductive rights will be rewritten almost immediately. If the United States reverses its Roe v. Wade decision, the U.S. would join a very small group of countries that have tightened abortion laws in recent years. 3 countries have done so since 1994: Poland, El Salvador, and Nicaragua. In that period, 59 countries have expanded access, according to the Center of Reproductive Rights. The leaked document was described as a draft, not a final opinion. It may be a month or more before the Supreme Court officially rules in the case, and that decision could differ from the draft that is currently circulating. If the Supreme Court does rule against Roe v. Wade, clinics in some states would most likely be closing within days. In other states that ban the procedure, the process may take several months. Now turning to the war in the Ukraine. According to the Washington Post and New York Times, the Ukrainian military is trying to drive Russian forces back from around the cities of Kharkiv and Izium. An evacuation convoy was dispatched again to the besieged steel plant in Mariupol, where Russian forces are intensifying their attack, striking a car during a ceasefire, reportedly killing 1 and wounding 6 on Friday. A senior Ukrainian official said almost 500 civilians have been evacuated from the steel plant and its surroundings, adding that the next stage is underway in rescuing our people from the facility. Battles shook the ground of the besieged Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol overnight after the Russian forces breached the complex where the last Ukrainian fighters were holding out, even as an evacuation convoy was set to arrive on Friday to help rescue the remaining civilians. Nearly 500 people have managed to leave in recent days with the assistance of the United Nations and the International Committee of the Red Cross, according to Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General. For DETV News, I'm Kerwin Gaines.
Thanks, Kerwin. And lastly, to honor all first responders and their families, Vietnam Veterans of America walked to raise awareness for those who sacrifice for us daily. The group of walkers started at the Veterans Memorial Park at the Delaware Gold Star Memorial. Hosted by the Chapter 83 of the Gold Star program, the goal was to raise funds for nonprofit partners who provide healing services for veterans and to inspire patriotism in the youth. Well, that's all for DETV News. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms and check us out on our website at detvch.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kaylynn Pride, and we'll see you next time.